Thank you for joining this session. Today is a quarterly update, the last one for 2020, and what a challenge year it was. And in this session, in today highlights, we are going to cover the following highlights. One of the highlights I think that you've been waited for is the nurse one, about enhancing configuration for the FEBA preferred records. Now we are providing you an option to configure to prefer the latest version. So you can, in the brief results, have the latest edition, latest version display your FEBA preferred record. This is one enhancement. Another enhancement, more in the area of utilizing mobile device capabilities, we are adding to Primo a QR code. This QR code can be used to link to Primo pages. We added the QR code on any pages. I will do a demo so you can share with that. In addition, I would like to highlight the intensive work that we are doing in the area of accessibility. Especially, I would like your attention to changes that we are doing and may affect your customizations with regarding the color contrast changes. So I will have a dedicated slide explaining where all is documented and where are the tips you can assist. More in the area of the Primo Analytics, an option to send the Primo Analytics reports not only to the email as exists today, also to an FTP server. So you can share it with more people in your organization. And I will also, in the area of the Primo Analytics, would like to have to share with you the status of the project of upgrading the analytics platform to the Oracle Analytics server, where we are standing in that area. We will share the status. And we have many Primo VE updates to share with you, so stay with me. Okay, before we are starting, as always, I'm showing you the release schedule. Yesterday, the Primo Sandbox was installed November 8th. As you can see, the rollout 2 weeks, Primo release will be on the multi-tenant production, and the Primo release will be available for local customer December 6th. In the area of the Primo VE, the release schedule, in this quarterly, we are covering the November and December releases, and I will show you the highlights for both. And this is the schedule. Primo November is already on production for the Primo VE customer. Okay, so the nurse enhancement about enhancing the configuration of the FEBA preferred records. I just want to highlight this is coming in Primo November release, already released for the Primo VE. In Primo VE, we released the entire configuration to allow you prefer the FEBA preferred record by all kind of criteria. In Primo, it was already existing, and we enhanced to prefer by the latest edition. As you can see here, this is the screenshot from the Primo back office where we added a checkbox to prefer the latest version. And what will be the results when doing so? You can see here, I'm searching for the Harry Potter stone, and I can see a 15 version of these records where the record that now is being displayed in my brief is the one with the latest edition. As you can see, the 2008 is now the one that is being seen. So this is, of course, the nurse enhancement that you requested, also vote coming in the idea. What I would like to highlight here, when you are working or testing this, I just want, and something also when we discuss this with the Primo working group, discussing this, especially on another nurse enhancement that was not voted, eventually was not voted for 21. We discussed then on the option to have a static preferred record. And just in light of this discussion, what I would like to know to you the following. When we are doing the preferred records, when we are choosing the preferred records, we will choose the records among a set of records that are matched to the criteria. And what does it mean? So if I'm searching for Harry Potter Stone and I'm filtering it by resource type books, so among those 15 versions that exist, the preferred record that we will choose should be also match the criteria of the query that we did. So the Faber preferred record is not a static one, it's dynamic, being calculated on the fly, taking under the consideration the set of records that really match the query criteria that you performed, also considering the boosting that you are giving in your customization. And this is what, when you are testing that, need to bear in mind while testing and showing this feature. Okay. Another thing in that area, on the area of the Ferber preferred record, that I would like to share with you, also working on this enhancement and discussing with the working group this raised, discovered that if you are a Primo Alma customer and you wanted to configure and boost higher online availability, to prefer online and electronic material rather than physical in your preferred record, there was an issue if that so far. And in this release, we resolved this issue. We've discovered that we were ignoring the delivery category Alma E when we did the calculation of the boosting. And now this has been solved, and now we are considering the online availability for Alma E resource. So if you want also to consider the online boosting, this should also work with this fix coming in the November release. Next is the QR. The QR code that we are adding to Primo. We are adding this QR code as a link to Primo pages. We added the QR, as you can see here, and I will demo that soon. On the top right corner, we are adding it to each Primo pages. So the collection discovery, to the journal search, database search, and the main search, we will have this QR button on the top. And what will be the use cases to use this QR? We are elaborating few use cases. So user can promote or use the QR as a link to a single record. As you can see here, we added also a QR action. Clicking on that, we will have the QR code and also an option to copy link. So you can promote, user can promote a single record using this QR code. Another use case is if you are a reference librarian and you are helping patron, you can, and you are doing a search with filters in order to help them reach their desired search results. You can click on those QR codes. This will reflect the URL with all of the search criteria that you are adding. And you can ask the patron to get their mobile device and scan this QR. And by scanning that, this will be linking to their to the Primo search results that you help them find. So this is one use case. And another use case that you can use to promote and expose a set of records or search results or collection and promote it is same as we are seeing in other sites using the QR. Okay, so in a matter of timeline, this is coming Primo November release and for Primo V in December release. And I'm doing the demo. I just would like to highlight this. We are out of the box adding the QR code here as the button. This icon will replace the search history icons that used to be here next to the favorite. We choose to replace it, the search icon, because we already have another reference to the search history here in the menu, and we also check the statistics or the usage for using search. We saw a low usage for that, so we took it out and add the QR code instead. Of course, we didn't add another button. We only have place for two because we are supporting also iPad. and tablets. So this is the reason that we have only 2 buttons and we choose to replace the search history. If you want to have the search history back here, instead of the QR, you can hide it. You can use to hide it. So out of the box, we are adding the QR at the top right corner. If you want also to have the QR action on the single record, you need to add a QR action. It will be as a list of the actions over there. Okay, and let's do a demo. Okay, so as you can see, this is my search results. And as I said, this is the new button here of the QR code, replacing the search history that existing here. Clicking here is behind the scene taking this URL and this URL here and translate it to a QR image. You can go and copy the image and take it over. You can also copy the link and use it, or you can use your mobile, directly scan it and link to the same link as you can see here. So the QR code, as I said, is available here on the top right. You can also choose to add it as one of the an action for a single item being seen here or in the Primo full display as well, or as here in the Primo full display. And as I said, it is related to any other pages in Primo, so you can promote your collections using this collection lobby. And you can also go and promote a single collection page and have this QR as a link scanned here, and or copy the link or use the QR code as I mentioned here. So this is about more mobile capabilities in Primo. Next, I would like to share the intensive work that we did about the accessibility. Back then, in June this year, we conducted an external audit with a company named DECU. We got the results, and we did many issues. We did resolve many issues for the Primo November release, November VE, December VE, and we will also add another cycle of fixes for the February release as well. All of the items that we released are publishing to the Knowledge Center. There are like 300 issues you can see here. The reason we are publishing that is because we know the customer are conducting their own accessibility, so they can see if the issues that are reported in their accessibility report are already covered and solved here. And we will update this list with more, the leftover that we add. As though that the fix that were verified by DECU so far, and we will have another round of fixes. What I want to highlight is that as part of the changes, there are the color contrast improvement changes that we did. We already announced it previously to the list to make you prepared. So you can see all of the changes here, and we are also elaborating how it may impact your customization. I would like to do some demo to show you what it's all about. So now I'm navigating using my keyboard, and you can see the color contrast of the main menu button was changes. I'm also entering here, and this screen becomes more darker. Even the sign in screen is now the color. The color contrast are changing also here. And it by hovering also on those main menu. Links, we used to have also gray contrast out of the box. Those were changed as well. Some navigation behavior, I can now, when I'm switching, now I'm using keyboard navigation. Okay, I'm not in the action list, sorry. It's a little bit. Okay, so now also navigating on the element, the action here sometimes work with arrows when you are using one of the actions are opened. And if no action is selected, navigation can work with tabs. So this is a change of the behavior in the navigation of the send to action that we did. We are documenting that. Color contrast changes when you are hovering. Here the articles. More changes that were done. Advanced search. Titles were added here to the advanced search article because we need some to group and title some messagings, and also some behavior when you are focusing an element were changed. So many fixes were changes in order to comply with the accessibility. As I said, following the color contrast improvement, we are recommending you to check your customization. We already saw customer in the Primo V sandbox that their main menus color were white and they needed to adjust. You will find changelog details with tips how to adjust your color contrast. Click in here. So just be prepared when you are getting also the Primo release following that. Another item I would like to cover, as you can see, there was some changes to the behavior on component. These changes are due to the upgrade to the Angular material version. In order to resolve some accessibility and then critical accessibility issues, we have upgraded the Angular material. Following this upgrade, we are checked to actually inherit the behavior of the components, and we documented the changes that could be affecting, as I said, changing in the way the keyboard navigation, using arrows sometimes and using tabs, depending if an action is selected. Appearance of drop-down menu when you are focusing and you don't have a value selected out of the box. Also, there is changes in the look appear. Those changes, we cannot do patch or workaround on that. We are taking it as part of the inherit of the new Angular material version, and it's also been documented here. So this was about ongoing accessibility. And then I say we are in the upcoming release, we will have another cycle in order to comply with the WCAG 2.1 level AA. More in the Primo Analytics area, it's all for the Primo VE customer because it's part of the Alma, the platform options. And now in Primo, you can send your analytics reports not only to the email, you can also send it, upload those reports scheduled also to the FTP. So you will be able to share with more people in your organization the usage of your patrons. And with regarding to the status of the project that we had, you're getting many mails about upgrading to Oracle Analytics Server. I just wanted to have this slide as a summary to the project. I just want to mention that by now, all of the Primo V customers should be live with the Oracle Analytics Server. If you have any issue, please submit a case. We will solve it. I saw in the list communication on that, and I think that we already solved it. So all of the Primo VE customers should be live by now with the Oracle Analytics Server. And regarding the Primo customer, by the end of November, all of the Primo customer will be using the Oracle Analytics Server. So far, we covered the Canada region, the Europe region, and we are in the process of migrating APAC region. Next week, North America will start the migration. This means that if you want to copy your reports under the My Institution folder, you need to copy that. So it will be taken into account in the migration. A local Primo customer will be by the end of November, November 29. The date was changed to allow Primo customer to install the Primo August release, which is mandatory. The support for Oracle Analytics Server is part of the Primo August release. Okay, now we're talking about the enhancement in Primo VE. Okay, so the enhancement in Primo VE is the One of the ideas that are voted very highly is about broaden availability status in the brief results. Now, in this idea, we will be able to show the user the reason why an item and why a resource is not available, could be loaned or lost. So we are showing that, taking advantage of the platform. We have a dedicated slide for that. Also, for Boost My Institution from consortia, you have the ability to boost records from your institution rather than other institution in the consortia. And about general order request form enhancements, this is also coming in Primo VE, also for the coming Primo, reflected in the Alma release note. What we are doing in that area, we added fields to the old request, to the digitization request form. We added configuration table for fields like issue, part, start, and end date, chapters, and more. You can add those fields to the forms. And you can add those fields to the forms now, same as exists in the resource sharing form. In addition to that, if we have in the Primo service page metadata that exists in the open URL, and now those fields will be automatically populated and filled from the open URL. And so part of this enhancement where exists in the resource sharing request, we enhance it to be also in the hold request and the digitization request, and those are the enhancement. More in the area of the relation, talking about the indication for boundary relation. So far in Primo View, when we are having relations among records, this relation is being translated to the UI under the is part of terminology or under the related titles terminology. And we wanted to enhance that to cover cases when two resources are bound with together, but they are not related. They are unrelated logically, but still they are bound with together, wrapped together. So in order to reflect such a related, if in the catalog, if you will add subfield that name with the unrelated, Primo VE will know to display those relations as a bound with. Okay, and another enhancement that we added to the request form is we added for consortia with many members, institutions, a lookup and select options in drop-down that are related to institutions. So it will be very easy to find and navigate to the desired institution. The chat with support. This is something very cool. The Primo VE initiated by our supporting following your idea. I will have a dedicated slide to share it with you. Support resource recommender configuration per view, also something that I will share a slide, enhancing the option to configure the resource recommender. New action added to Primo VE, already existing Primo, the export to Leganto reading list. Now you can export your citations to your reading list from Primo VE. And even though if you are instructor, you're as a login, if you are recognized as instructor, you can also export the citation, the Primo records into your reading list, and even to select to which week to export those. So Primo VE Leganto customer can use this option. Enhance the dedupe and Ferber test utility, giving you more option when the metadata is being changed to recalculate the Ferber group and make those changes reflecting the VE index for the Ferber group. Open Graph meta tags to support preview of Primo links. We added the Open Graph meta tags so that when you share links in social media like WhatsApp, Twitter, Teams. We are allowing now access to those bots of social media to read the Open Graph meta tags, and if they manage to read that, to nicely display those Primo links as we are used to with the title, description, and thumbnails, and the link to the URL. Another thing that I want to share is, and I will have a dedicated slide, is the real-time item level description for resource sharing. We have we already did real-time availability for the resource sharing request form. Now we are adding the item level description. We'll show you that. And another capability coming from the idea, enhancing the use translation checkbox, not only for local fields, but also for creator and contributor fields. So you can choose to translate a certain subfield with this creator or contributor fields. Okay, so this is the board of the highlights are coming November, December, besides the one that I'm sharing with the QR. And now let's go to the to drill down. We're talking about broaden availability status, one of the ideas that we voted very highly. We implemented that for Primo VE because we are taking the advantage of being on top of the Alma platform. And now we can calculate the not available and go into the level of the item, showing the user the reason why the record is not available. As you can see here, either not available because it is lost or not available because it's on loan. And you can see here the table of the various reasons why item can be not available. And of course, you can change the label, the change of the label that could be reflected. This is not something that is out of the box. You need to, if you want this functionality, you need to enable that. Okay, I think that this is what I want to cover. Just want to mention that we work very hard to allow this, make it also on the right performance. And one of the things that would like to highlight that we are covering and showing the reason only in cases where the use case is really clear, meaning that if we have a single item with this reason, we will show that. If we have various items under this resource with various reasons, we still will show not available. We are not going into some kind of logic of grouping the reason to reflect that. We make it simple to use. When it is clear that item is lost, we will show in case of multiple items, or we will show the not available. Okay. Another feature that I want to share is the Boost My Institution. As you can see here, we added to the ranking configuration this checkbox, allowing you, an institution in the consortia, to choose whether to boost records from their institutions to be on top of the search results rather than records from other member in the institutions. Come from the idea. Support resource recommender configuration per view coming in the Primo V December release. Resource recommender is the feature that you can choose to show recommended resources on top of the search results based on guessing the query that the user will activate. So you have an option to configure the resource, the key, the name, and the tags for that resource, and give the links, for instance. And now we've added to that the new the views. You can choose to which view this resource could be relevant. By default, it will be for all views, and you can have a multi-select over there for certain views. When we did this, we mainly target for customers that are multi-campus customers, but you can choose to have it anyhow. So the view is now being added, and by default will be for all. Enhance the dedupe and Ferber test utility. As you can see here, we added a new functionality called the Recalculate Ferber and Dedupe record. This functionality is now available, allowing the recalculation of the dedupe and the Ferber group IDs based on the given MMS ID. When the recalculation is actually is activated, we are actually going to delete all the rows related and recalculate the dedupes and send all of those records to the index process, so the groups will be recreated all over again. This can be relevant when you are changing metadata or fixing metadata. Now you have an option to make it affect also on the Ferber and the dedupe groups records. And this was requested in the idea, but we also got it from our supporting, asking for tools to help you, the customers, when in such cases as well. So both customer and both internally from Syllabus, we wanted to have this ability available for you. Real-time description for items in the resource sharing request. Previously, we added the check item availability when patron opening the resource sharing. Now we're also calculating to see the item level description. So when your customer open their request form, these enhancements now allow the user to see the drop down of the item level descriptions form and let the user request a specific item based on the description that the system calculated from him. So user will know, a user can now specify better the request. If we did not manage to get any description from the item level, we will show also a message. So this is an improvement. I just must say also, the real-time item descriptions will also work not only in resource sharing environment, should be also work for the automatic fulfillment network environment as well. Online chat with the support. So this is very cool now. As we saw ideas voted highly for cross products, and now the support team took this and added this work on and added this new icon of chat with support, which you can give to specific staff for user with a specific chat permissions. Can start the chat and start talk directly with our team. You can get really fast answer from our support team, mainly on questions such as how to configure or whether there are any known issues or general issue. If a deeper analysis is required for that, Primo V and our systems are not that's a simple one and sometimes require deeper analysis. So those are the cases to go into this submit a case via the Salesforce. But you have the chat to start for the more simple one. I invite you to see this clip that they created and go into the FAQ. And there is additional webinar on December 2nd that can explain more about this. We are starting with, this is already available for the Primo VE European region customers and will be available gradually for all. Okay, so I covered almost all of the features that I wanted in term with regard to Primo and Primo VE. I also want to just highlight about the Go VE updates. The Go VE is a project, what we call it the self-switch to Primo VE. If you are a Primo customer considering to move to Primo VE so far, in order to do that, you need to contact Exlibris, and we had the delivery team working with the customer, switching it for the customer. Now there is we automate process and we name it Go VE, make it more automated. We are now in the status that for single institution, the Go VE button is already available, and you can choose to activate it. And for consortia customer, it will be available starting of March, I think, March release. What is the status? So we're working with 3 early access. One of them is already live. We also have the single institution, the Go VE button for the single institution available. We already see 28 institutions started the process. We invite you to see the video that we had here. So would like to share with you what are the channels that can assist you with this self-switch. We have the GoV very detailed documentation, so you can go ahead and check for that. We have many webinars and Ask the Expert, where our Primo delivery team are answering questions because they have many experience migrating customers from Primo to Primo V. You can use their experience and ask there. You have our support teams and a directly email with us with the Go VE. So all of this together in order to help you with the switch to the one that are interested. Okay, and what's next is sharing with you what is coming next. So before I'm going into the highlights, I just want to mention end of January, probably we will publish the roadmap for 2021. We will also have an additional webinar beginning of February about the roadmap of 2021. And now what is coming in the first quarter is the loading spinner showing an indication while the Alma mashup is being released. Also show the user the recent searches as suggested in the autocomplete. And that means what while they are start typing their searches, if one of the search, if the key the character match one of the recent search, we will raise it and suggest one of those common searches so they can reuse their searches as one of the autocomplete suggestions. We are going to do some improvement to the My Favorites. We had some issue when we added the Load More Results button to the My Favorite. When you are using where you are unpin or where you are using the label, the page is being refreshed. So we are going to improve the workflow over there based on your feedback. Are going also to reflect more in the list of version page how to go back to the search results. We got feedback on that. I'm going to improve that. In the Primo VE area, we are going to improve the way the summary holdings are being displayed, saving the user additional clicks in order to see the summary holding. We are also adding options to custom scope, not only for other institution or other institution libraries. We are also going into the level of the location. You will be able to search only on those on other institution specific location scope. And we are going also to optimize the workflow for the resource sharing, to add the resource sharing button on location based. So if you have a rare collection that you don't intend to use as part of the to borrow and use as part of the resource sharing, your user won't see the resource sharing button. And we are saving the user the option to submit a request, and then request is being rejected. We just won't show it in the initial phase. So thank you for joining this session, and I will see you back then in the early 2021 on the roadmap webinar. Please see our recommendation to check your customization with all of the changes that we've made to the accessibility, and of course write to us. Write to us for your idea and any feedback of the release. As I said, there was an intensive work on this release. We would like to have a smooth release. Any feedback from you, if there is something wrong, please do submit a case. We are monitoring that in order to make a smooth one. Thank you for joining this session.